goes out to Leopold Scotch, also known as Butters, also known as Professor Chaos. The song about getting a shuriken or a ninja star to the eyeball, like he did.
Yeah.
Fighting ninjas.
Let's fighting love. Let's fighting love.
Shout out to South Park. Yeah, welcome to our New Year's Eve / New Year's episode.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy
it's
New Year.
2023 officially.
Woo.
This is Two Lonely Boys in a Canoe. I'm Chris Evans. That's Trevor Ahlstrom. He's known as...
I'm now known as Gravel Shits.
And why don't we both be Gorgeous George? How about that?
Nah, I'm Gravel Shits. You can be Gorgeous George.
He wants to be gorgeous too, folks. So we'll call him Gorgeous Shits.
Okay.
Gorgeous Shits.
My poops sometimes look like hot taco soup, but that's okay.
He has poops that look like John Travolta from Pulp Fiction sometimes, but it's all good.
Yo, Crater Face.
Royale with cheese.
Hey, I don't like how you're talking to me right now.
So how you liking 2023 so far, Trevor?
It's been okay.
Yeah? What happened in the first day of the year for you?
I hung out here, did laundry, worked on stuff for the show, and did a little guitar, and been pretty chill.
Yeah.
And we both got tomorrow off, and we got chicken leftovers from the dinner that I cooked yesterday. It was good.
Chicken and dinners.
So yeah, it's been pretty chill so far. I'm sure it'll get a lot worse real quick.
Hey, don't worry, man. As it gets worse, we'll evolve. Always moving forward. Progression.
We're gonna be like the fish that gets on the land, and the lungfish is like, I got feet now, bitches.
Well, I always think of like the first fish that got up on land. And he just got like beat up real quick. Like land people were just like, what the fuck is that?
Dude, that's Peter Griffin would be waiting for him. Peter Griffin would be
stepping
like,
on him. And then eventually there's a fish that comes on the land and he's got a gun.
And he shoots Peter.
Hey, he shoots somebody.
That's like
and
from the other guys.
Now, my brothers, it's our time. And then like squids and fucking jellyfish start coming out of the ocean.
Yeah, the sea life take over.
Sea come back for ye.
That's like with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg and the other guys with the tuna versus the lion.
Yeah, you think that a 600-pound lion would fare against a 900-pound tuna and 30 of his friends?
We're evolving, all right?
Yeah.
We'll figure out. We'll build breathing apparatuses.
Breathing apparatuses.
Breathe through the
come
skin.
And stalk you and your family on
We
the
will
way.
learn your habits.
Now, will it be overnight? Probably not. It'll probably take weeks of planning and development.
But eventually
we'll be able to stalk you for forever. Then you'll regret.
Mark just looks at him. Ugh. Yeah.
So I'm excited, man. I think we got a pretty cool episode today. We went back the last 2 to 3 days or so, and we re-listened to some of the best Two Lonely Boys in a Canoe podcast
and took notes.
Episodes from out the years. From out the year.
The last year.
Yeah, this past year. But I think we went over some of our best episodes. I think maybe there's some other ones we might have forgotten, honorable mentions and stuff. But I think the episodes we re-listened to will really be great to talk about. Because we got some amazing jokes that just get hidden in these episodes every once in a while.
Few gems. But before we do that, I guess for news, announcements.
Trevor, where's your newspaper? You need your newspaper. You
have
have to shake it in front of the microphone for ambiance.
I guess, though, for announcements, we're actively looking, and we're about to have a first round of interviews for a producer.
Trevor's very excited.
And
he doesn't know how to feel. He's like, I've never hired no one before.
Oh, I've always been the asshole getting hired.
So you don't know how to treat somebody if you hire them?
I'll treat them really good.
Okay, then. What's the problem here?
I'll be the cool boss.
Trevor's super excited. We're about to get a dude on here, Thomas the Tank. We're going to call him Thomas the Agent Tank. That's going to be his new nickname. I'm already dedicating it to him.
He's got a good podcast, the Broken Glass Podcast.
Does have a good podcast, the Broken Glass Podcast. And
he's local.
Always trying to play footsie with folks.
No, you're right there, and I have big feet.
My feet are pretty much underneath me.
They are now.
Yours are always out.
They're like
you have to be fucking roots.
They're like tree roots. They gotta look for good nutrients. They're searching.
No, you're not.
And you're like a rock with some nutrients there, and my feet.
How do your feet fare under your seat? Do they do well?
Sometimes.
Then keep them there. God damn it! I'm never doing this to you.
I would laugh if you did.
Yeah, I know. That's the weird part. You'd be like, silly goose.
No, not that sort of laugh.
Yep, Trevor's all about them silly gooses.
I like vaginas, all right?
Yeah, he likes vaginas. They just don't like them back. I can't hate on them too much, folks. They don't like me much either.
We're just having a bad stretch. But anyways.
Hey, this isn't a prison term. It's life, baby. So, yeah, folks, we'll get to the news real quick to get that knocked out, and then we'll hop into some of the Two Lonely Boys in a Canoe Best of the Year, 2002.
We could just right after this guy. After the news, we could do album review and movie reviews. So the rest of the episode, we could just talk about
out of
everything.
The reviews, we can do the reviews with
do
the
all of it.
reviews and the news. You know how we do. We roll up in this booth.
All right, news minute.
Thank
Thank you.
Trevor's News Minute, y'all.
Nice. So for local, I guess local-ish news, it has to have OSU students, Oregon State University students up in Corvallis, just an hour north of us. They were over in the Salmon River on the eastern Oregon, western Idaho border, and they just discovered some stone arrowheads.
Body parts.
Some stone arrowheads are about 3,000 years older than what they believed were the time when people were making arrowheads and weapons. So the Neolithic period. So that's pretty exciting.
People keep getting blown away by more artifacts being found as time goes on. Like, oh, people were doing this back then.
So they're saying 15,700 years ago. So almost 16,000 years ago, which, if you think about it, like usually civilization is really it keeps changing because they keep finding new evidence all the time.
That's what I'm saying.
It's crazy. What we were taught traditionally is that around 6,000 years ago, when the first societies like over in Egypt, over in India, and then over in the Middle East when it started. And it was all, of course, by major rivers and areas of farming. They settled down from hunter-gatherers, and they did that. But even before then, they had people making flint knapping. I've done a little bit of it. Definitely wear eye protection, folks, because stone in your eye, a chip of stone in your eyeball is not fun when you're trying to shape it.
I don't think it sounds fun.
No, I almost had to have a couple times. No. But yeah, so they use carbon dating for that. And let's see.
Carbon dating?
Carbon
dating?
Oh. It's when carbon atoms they decide to go dating.
When a boy carbon meets a girl
carbon.
And
baby carbons.
Yeah, little carbons come out of everywhere.
Oh, man. Carbon dating. That is good. So anyways... Shout out Miss Frizzle in the Magic School Bus. You're still hot, and I still want to bang you out when you're on one of your science events.
Miss Frizzle was a porn star.
Oh God.
There's got to be a Magic School Bus pornography.
Yeah, the kids are like studying the vagina up in the front of the bus. I'm studying vagina in the back of the bus, and the iguana's just being a creeper, just watching the whole time. Like, you know, iguana, you can watch.
Well, you know why the iguana's watching? Because you're doing it to him.
Oh, and I'm gonna use his tail on her also to.
There is no her, Trevor. She was made up in imagination land. Imagination!
Nice. Yeah, that's the local news.
National?
National news. The killer was caught who caught students in Idaho.
Killer who caught the students getting caught. yes, the killer that caught killing the caught students.
Whatever.
Okay, so there was
a guy in Idaho killed students.
So there was a murder of 4 Idaho university students about a month ago. They didn't release a ton of information on it because I think it obviously was active as an investigation. They were trying to figure out who done it. They just made the arrest a couple days ago of a guy out in Pennsylvania. He basically, this is what they have so far on him. He was a University of Washington student that graduated with a bachelor's in criminology. Basically taking classes on like serial killers and stuff.
Ooh.
And he traveled from Washington University over to the area by the Idaho University, off campus, obviously. But around 3 a.m., 4 people were killed, a boy and 3 girls, all around the age of 21. And they weren't releasing any information on it. They didn't want to tell, I guess, anybody what was happening or what they had or if they didn't have anything. Because what I think happened was the guy, took what he studied and applied it to the murders. And they figured out when they got to the murder scene, they were like, this guy cleaned up well. Like he didn't leave a lot of evidence. So they really kept everything they had under wraps. And 2 days ago, they made an arrest of a guy over by his parents' house in Pennsylvania. He apparently drove that car that he drove to his parents' house from Washington to Idaho. That's how they kind of tracked him, through his car. You know, because cars have GPS now.
Yeah. Breaking the law.
So this dude he looks like a psychopath, but I don't know. I'm waiting to hear the full story. I bet there's a lot of crime writers and reporters out there just sharpening their pencils now.
Yeah.
You know,
it makes me.
When every time one of these big cases happen across the country, they gives all these crime people like fuel. You know, it gives them crime fuel.
Crime fuel.
Yeah.
Crime
so
fuel.
They can write down all their crimes.
Oh, wait a second. You're saying she was burned alive in front of a school?
Lots of pulse. Lots of pulse all over this crime.
Oh, you better get that caution tape because
Hardly-
there's a real mess on the ground, if you know what I mean.
The Hardly Boys, you remember that from South Park? 2 young whippersnappers trying to solve crimes.
Yes.
And then he's rolling up, it's like, and the mystery of 9/11. And they roll up and they're like, I'm getting a serious clue over here. Oh, it's giving me a raging clue too. And they're just sitting there, it's like, I'll follow your clue. No, I'll follow your clue.
I'd definitely like to rewatch it. It's been a long time.
Yeah, we
That's funny.
got back into watching a little South Park today for just shits and gigs, you know? And it was funny. We watched
Warm up
the
the old
episode.
noggin.
We watched the episode with Butters getting the
The
Chinese
Ninja
throwing
Star.
in
This
his
is why I
eye.
talked about
That's
it.
why
yeah.
Trevor dedicated the song to the character.
Yeah, that shit was because I hadn't seen that one. I didn't think it would be quite that brutal. Like it was just like graphic star all the way through a child's eyeball, blood everywhere. They shaved this dog and glue it to him to Butters to make
Pass him off as
a dog, and then they end up fighting another group of kids in the alleyway. And Butters gets hidden in an abandoned oven in the alleyway, and then by the time the fight's done, he's gone, and the other group of kids that fought him end up joining him, and they help trying to find him, and they find him at this big auction, and then Cartman thinks he has
Town auction.
Yeah, he thinks he has invisibility powers to get Butters, so he walks across the stage of the auction naked, and then they all get busted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Trevor liked it. He had a good fucking time watching
They
it.
did a lot of anime spoofs, which was funny. Like the background fighting music was dead on a lot of animes you see.
I'm just waiting for that day that I figure out that you're a figment of my imagination.
Yes.
And I've just been doing a podcast by myself,
The whole time.
growing weed by myself.
All the guitar for that was you actually the whole time.
I've been picking up skills that I didn't know I had, like guitar and harmonica. And I
You
got
have
a cat.
harmonica.
Well, see, that's the thing I wouldn't know, is I wouldn't know that I had harmonica skills. What do you think, Trevor? He's recovering from a bong rip, y'all. I'll give him a second. Let him breathe and drink water.
All right. That was fun. Anyways.
Well, you know what that means? Every time you cough from a bong rip, a stoner gets a dab. Yeah, that's
when
it.
they go to stoner heaven, they get another dab.
No stoner heaven. They just
Stoner
get a
hell?
dab. They just get a dab.
Just a dab
Every time
falls from the
somebody
sky.
chokes on a bong, somebody's taking a dab rip too.
Every time you smoke a blunt, we get a box of chicken biscuits. No, I wish. I wish.
Dude, we would have an endless supply.
Because there's a lot of people smoking blunts.
Well, we'd have an endless supply of blunts so that we'd never run out of chicken biscuits. We'd start flipping chicken biscuits.
Chicken biscuits.
Because
if you need sponsors, here we are.
We've already
Let's
been
go.
down this road, chicken and biscuits.
Come on,
we
let's
have
go.
dedicated our allegiance to you and your cracker snack.
I mean, we also have 7-Eleven, but don't worry about it.
Well,
you
I
guys
think that
sell the
I
7-Eleven.
think that the beautiful people over at Chicken and Biscuit and
The beautiful
Nabisco,
people, the beautiful
they need
people.
to realize that they
Yeah.
have fans out here, and they need to help them help themselves.
Stoners need
So-
cracker snacks.
Stoners need snacks too.
Yeah.
You know,
Come on,
don't forget
folks.
about your local stoners. Stoner, what is it? Stoner,
Stoner-
Union 404.
Yeah, yeah, we a stoner union.
Yeah, we have a Stoner Union 404.
No, 420.
Yeah.
It'd be 420.
We have to have different, sections of it.
Yeah.
So we're 404.
It's all under the 420. You're right. There'd be different sections of it.
Exactly.
We'd be-
Locals 424.
We would be the Eugene chapter for sure.
All we're saying is we need more chicken and biscuits. So send us your chicken and biscuits. If you're out there in radio TV land, Send us those biscuits of chickens.
And yeah, send that and any flamethrowers too, because that's cool.
I want a potato gun.
That's also pretty cool.
All right, potato guns, flamethrowers, and chicken and biscuits. Let's go.
That's a party. Hell yeah.
And Chicago, the original Chicago, to play 9 to 5.
Maybe deep dish Chicago pizza.
Dun, 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 dun.
Nice.
Dun, dun, dun,
Dun,
dun,
dun,
dun.
dun, 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 dun.
They can't copyright us if we sing the songs
Terrible.
ourselves, shittily.
Yeah.
We found a way around your loophole.
Take that. All right, world news. Really that quick. I don't know all the info because the guy who's going to help us didn't show up today, but Andrew Tate, who's a social influencer and all-around douchebag, he was arrested in Romania for sex trafficking after teasing Greta Thunberg, the 19-year-old climate activist, and she's pretty hot too, by the way. But anyways,
Trevor, she's a child.
she's
What's wrong
19.
with you?
She's 19.
That's not old enough to not be a child.
She's legal.
Is that your argument?
Now, anyways, moving on.
Trevor's rolling on to 17-year-olds that are on
No,
their
no.
birthday.
No.
And he's like,
19.
I'm waiting. He's sitting there
19.
salivating out of his
19,
mouth.
no.
He's like, I can't wait for you
She's
to
cute.
become legal.
No, I don't do that. No.
He's got drool and fucking
No,
blood
it's
coming
not.
out of his mouth, and he's sitting there and he's like, come on, let's go, clock. He's staring at the clock, just punching the wall. He's like, 18, 18, Alice Cooper, 18.
18, I can do what I want. That's a great song. Shout out Alice Cooper. No, I saw a picture. She's good looking. If I bumped into her coming
Trevor,
from
she's a young girl with Asperger's.
nobody's perfect.
You're right. Leave her alone. You're
Anyways,
34.
32.
Exactly.
Stop giving me years.
I
know I'm getting
say
old.
older years so that you came down a couple years and still made yourself sound old. 32.
Anyways, so her and Andrew Tate, they were having arguments, and he was bragging about
Hello,
how
I'm
much.
Greta Thunberg, and I say to you, love the world. Don't love yourself. No self-love. Stop masturbating. You all dirty people. Stop doing it. Andrew Tate, bring that cock over here. I'm Greta Thunberg. What's up? What's up? Shout out. I became famous as fuck for doing this.
But he apparently got caught. He posted a picture of him with a cigar and a robe and a pizza box for a local pizza place in Romania. So they went to the pizza place, found out info about him, and arrested him.
Hey, did a
With
guy come in
ladies.
here about 3 hours ago and order a pizza? He would have been an asshole. It's like, yeah, that's all my customers. This particular asshole.
They show a picture of
was
this
an
bald guy.
Extreme asshole. And
Extreme
he's like,
douche.
Oh,
American.
you mean Frank? Like he knows him by name and shit. He's always there.
Well, yeah, Andrew. But yeah. So that was ironic. So that's what we get for trying to be
Isn't
too
it
cool.
ironic? Don't you think? It's like, Ray, yeah.
I think Andrew Tate's example when keeping it real goes wrong.
I think that Greta Thunberg, she's a young woman who has a good cause in mind.
Saving
She's
the
going
world.
about trying to save the world. I think that the problem becomes when you become a martyr or a fucking activist for a cause. Like, people are always looking to you to make a mistake or to fuck up or something like that. So there's all these people online that just pick on a slightly mentally challenged girl for being like, you parents, you need to be good to the planet and your children. And she's just a kid, you know? It's hard to talk shit to her. But it's like the same thing that happened with that girl in the Middle East who got shot in the head. You remember her? Malala? So there was a woman who got abducted or something by the Taliban, I think. And she got shot in the fucking head. And she lived. So they put her like head back together. And
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then she became an activist against gun violence and violence against women. It's a great cause. But man, that must be hard on you as a person to be like, this is now your battle.
Yeah.
I know you didn't pick this battle, but you said a thing once or something happened to you once, and now this is your whole fucking life. Like, doesn't this young girl just ever want to be, you know, hanging out with their friends and doing normal people shit.
Maybe. Does remind me of the joke though. What's the difference between an American girl and an Iraqi girl?
Clothes?
The American girl gets stoned before she has sex.
You've said that
I
one many times.
I only have so many jokes on that particular area, sir.
Trevor, are you telling me you're running out of racist jokes?
I'm not racist.
Racist, sexist jokes?
Yeah, I don't have an endless supply of them. I'm sorry.
You're letting me down, Trevor. No, man. We're going to have to get you a 101 Dirty Jokes for Bad Kids book. And then we'll just have you coming around every once in a while. You know what's the difference between a salamander and a salami? One goes in and one comes out. And it's like, what? And it's just a picture of a woman with a lizard crawling out of her ass and a fucking salami going in her pussy. And I'm just like, the hell are you?
What if she has a salami cover ass and the salamander going in her pussy? That would be...
Both going in.
Yeah. That could work.
I don't know, Trevor. We got to buy you the book.
I think we both need the books. The books of the jokes.
Trevor wants his dirty joke books.
Yes.
He's going to go up on stage, do some stand-up. Hey, folks, I got some quick ones for you here. Just start popping off with a bunch of bad jokes.
I would want that bad joke book from the Kill Tony. I would want that book.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. I think we could move on now to the movie review real quick.
I showed Trevor Step Brothers. Woo!
That was awesome.
Trevor had never seen anything like it in his life.
Well, I'd seen things kind of similar, but same era.
Trevor popped his stepbrother's cherry.
Yeah. Boats and hoes, boats and hoes.
So, what did you think?
I thought it was funny. I mean, he definitely had his cringy moments. It's one of those movies where it was so cringy it was funny. Just on, the whole awkward situation of two people in their 60s both have
40s.
No, I'm talking about the parents. The parents both in their 60s, 70s about to retire. Remarrying, and both of them have sons that are both about to be 40. And they're both
that are kind of fuck ups and stay.
And they're still like children, pretty much. They're just giant kids.
They're like 12. They're like 12.
But yeah, I mean, and by the end, it was, definitely some fucked up parts, like the boat getting crashed. Obviously, this guy had worked all his life for this, and then the son and stepson ruin it. But being a fake movie, all this crazy bullshit happens, and then they're all good in the end. Where in real life, as I said, probably one of the sons would have been murdered for doing those things. But it's a movie, so...
Of course. So what did you think of it overall? What was your favorite part? What was the part you didn't like the most?
When they were just going on and on about feelings, emotions, that was getting old, but...
Trevor was like, I'm having an emotion here. I don't like this feeling. I don't like this. And what they say happened in Whoville that day. Trevor's heart grew 3 sizes that day.
Anyways, so I did like all the crazy absurd humor, like where they're taking the boat, speeding the boat. So also when they're fighting an entire gang of children, and the first time, the first point Dale has to lick white dog shit. Was it Darren or
it's
Will Ferrell's character? Brennan. When Brennan has licked the white dog shit.
Don't come over here and lick that white dog shit. I'm gonna plow into your face with my fist.
The little redhead kid, and then there's the other kid too.
The
other
little girl is hilarious. She goes, "Shut your mouth, essays." Like she's off of some fucking gang from East LA and shit.
The white girl, yeah. And then there's the goofy little brunette-haired boy that gets beaten up at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty funny. I mean, I liked it when they did the Catalina wine mixer.
Yeah.
And they did the performance.
Of course.
Like
that's like the climax of the movie.
The Italian song, and then of course the drum solo, and
yes.
Yeah, it was great. As a musician, I definitely liked the music part that they had, like fighting over drums, like
yeah,
that was cool. So I liked all the music stuff in there.
I think the reason I like Step Brothers as a movie is because there is a lot of craziness and crazy stuff going on, but there is some sort of a family dynamic that is going on as well. Like they all kind of do care about each other, but they're all just kind of a bunch of fuck ups, And the parents are very successful. The children are not as successful, but they're trying to be. you know.
Yeah, they're definitely white collars, like 6-figure jobs. Like one guy's like a senior doctor, and the mom is, what does she do? She's like
a medical, like she buys. So he was selling a cochlear ear implant,
and she
she's
was
from
there.
a company that buys things like that.
Okay.
But one of the best jokes I ever heard is when the dad's explaining to the new wife why his son dropped out of school. He goes, he tried to join the family business, and she goes, but you're a medical doctor. And he goes, believe me, I've told him that. But he keeps saying it's all about who you know. It's just like, I'm going to get my way into medical school, and just it's all about who you shake hands with. You know, it's just, what?
I also love the part when Dale has the talk with his dad about getting married. He's like, we're guys. We do guy shit. We're not going to do guy things. More like, keep the toilet lid open, or talk about vaginas or riverboat gambling trips and making beef jerky. But son, we don't do any of those things.
Oh, right.
We should.
Yeah. All the stuff that we never do that we should. And then he goes,
all sound like fun activities.
She's looking at me, right? I just hopped out of the shower. I got a luscious thing of hair heading from my chest pubes down to my ball fro. And she gets one look at me and goes, oh, I've had the old bull.
Now I want the young calf. Yeah.
And she grabs me by the balls, and he's like, shut the fuck up. So funny. Yeah, Step Brothers, how many blind guys, dogs attacking people do you give it?
Definitely 9.
9 blind dogs attacking people.
There was a blind dog that was always a background character, always causing shit.
This dog just showing up biting people.
Or it slept on him that time after the
lumberjack. I traveled 2,000 miles to give you my seed.
500. He rips her clothes off. Another guy runs out of there and goes, like that shit was awesome. Or the chick that wants Dale, that's married to Brennan's brother.
His brother.
That shit was wild
Carol.
too. And when they fucked in the pied and he cream pied her.
My name's Jim. You want to suck my dick for money? He's like, no.
And then she just fucks him right there.
Yeah. The hottest thing I've ever seen a woman do is after she fucked him, he came in her pussy, and then she kisses him and says, "Stay golden, pony boy." Turns around to the urinal, the stand-up urinal, pops her leg up, and then pees the cum out.
Yeah.
Dude, that was a pretty hot move.
That was pretty hot. So, moving on, I got my album review, and I have some Native American black metal. They're an amazing band, and I looked up from the Banger TV is a Canadian metal show that I watch, and they go over some of the best albums of 2022 every month but a year. And this is an album I'd been wanting to listen to, and it definitely got a lot of good reviews. So I finally had to listen to the whole thing today. And it's 36 minutes, 14 seconds. The band is called Black Braid, one word. And they're a band from New York, upstate New York, Adirondack Mountains. The album is just called Black Braid 1. It came out this year. The band formed this year. And within less than a year, they've released an album that's doing extremely well, and they're on the rise.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's part of the whole res metal thing. The song I want to request is called Sacandaga. Sacandaga. It's a native word, but it means overflowing river in Iroquois, which is where they're from, the part of the Iroquois Nation. And yeah, it's a river in New York that flows. So they do a lot of songs where it's just really a lot of nature worship, but it's that sort of tremolo picking black metal style. But instead of big Viking dudes from Sweden, it's a bunch of native dudes from New York. But yeah, they're good, and they just really fierce black metal, but they'll also throw in some folk elements like Native American flute in there, and it's pretty cool in different time signatures you wouldn't normally have. So I would give it out of
how many drums do you give it? How many drums out of the Native American?
Deerskin drums?
Yes.
Bloody deerskin drums? I'd give
Not
it...
bloody, but yeah.
Well, it's metal, so it has to be. Extreme. I'd give it definitely 9. 9.5. It's
all right.
Highly recommended.
Very cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I got a quick one about the Adirondack area. So there's a movie when I was growing up that I saw, and it was pretty interesting. It was about a family, a dad, a son, and his daughter. The daughter was the middle child. She was like 14. The son was about 9, and the dad was in his 50s. They go out to go spend time out there during the winter. They have like a cabin and stuff in the woods. And when they're out there, the dad has a heart attack and dies.
Damn.
And just basically leaves the kids in the shack.
That sucks.
Miles and miles and miles from anybody.
Out in the wilderness. Okay.
And so the girl is with her brother, and they basically are alone for like a few days. And, you know, they're cutting firewood. They're trying to do whatever they can to stay alive.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, one of these nights, they have somebody just come up to their cabin out of the fucking darkness of the woods. And it's a dude that's he's like a trapper, but he's also a rapist and a fucking terrible human.
Shit.
So he like starts living with this family and raping the girl and fucking beating the shit out of the kid. And then the kid gets the balls to take a shot at him. He misses, and then the guy tries to kill the kid, and the girl stops him from killing her brother. I feel like something else happens in the middle there, but there's a scene where basically the guy gets incapacitated, the kids are trying to get away, and then he comes back to life and fucking they have to shoot him to death. Really crazy movie, and the whole combination is that there's an older woman, and it's the girl from when she was young. She is advocating, I'm not sure the name of it, but I'll help you look it up afterwards. She's advocating to save that part of the forest, the national forest, Adirondacks.
Okay.
Because she was like, she told this story to a bunch of people, you know, she was coming clean about it. And she was like, you know, even though it was the roughest time of my life, it made me like the woman I am today. And it was a really cool story about
That's pretty
how
crazy.
she had to, once the guy was dead, she had to find a way to get her brother out of the wilderness. And I don't know if it was a true story, but definitely a really cool, interesting thing, because the Adirondacks are a very cold, very desolate portion of upstate New York.
Yeah, they're near Canada.
Yep,
Yeah,
pretty much.
they're not far from Maine. I have a friend that lives not too far from there in northern New York, and
Great
it's
movie,
been
though.
snowing.
I think you would love it.
Probably.
I think you would. Out of 10 rapists, I'd give it an 8.
Rapist with Daniel Kuhn caps on, because being a trapper.
The boy had one. I think the little boy
I'm
had
sure.
a coonskin cap.
Yeah.
Crazy movie. I think you'd love it. All right, folks.
On to the main attraction now.
Onto the steak. No more potatoes.
Yeah. So we got our what?
Yeah.
Chris is just hitting my shoulder over here like.
Trevor's acting like he just got shot in the balls. And we got 30 minutes here. We're gonna make this podcast.
It's gonna be good.
Rock.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be good.
Promise.
I know.
Sorry, folks. All right. So we have our review, and do you want me? Well, we did top 10. I did top 10, and I have 5 honorable mentions.
How about we start out like this?
Start with honorable mentions.
So let's start with this. What was one of your most favorite moments of this past year? Let's start with that.
Something I wrote down or didn't.
Well, whatever. Let's say something that either happened during the podcast, something that you have a memory of, or even just something that you liked or appreciated from this past year.
I definitely appreciated getting to talk with friends about interesting topics that maybe we might not have talked about generally. Because, like for example, Silver Squirrel, our good friend, like when he would hang out with us on the porch, like, yeah, we would talk about things, but it'd be a lot more, it'd be usually us just chilling and bullshit talking, whereas on the show we are bullshit talking, but we also have an agenda of like, we're going to talk about these news, or like, I'm going to have to try to explain ancient sea turtles in 10 minutes and have a meaningful conversation.
You feel like it's maybe more constructive than just shooting the shit outside when
Yeah.
you're just drinking, not
That's-
having any recall of really what you talked about the day
Yeah.
after.
And I'm one to not talk about my work a whole bunch. So usually I like to just think about the world and the universe.
Sure.
So, and I try to do that. And fortunately, like where I'm at here, where, you know, the other place down the street, Fortunately, I didn't have coworkers, but the problem is at the time, other jobs, I had the people that I would want to talk to or hang out with the most. They'd be coworkers, but I didn't want to talk about work with them when we were off work, and that's all they would want to talk about.
Sure.
So, yeah, I like having constructive talks with friends about something besides work and
I think
normal
that
bullshit.
The podcast is a very good outlet for some of the things that we normally wouldn't be able to remember to say, or some of the things that we feel, when we have rough days and when we have things we really are passionate and we want to talk about, because the podcast doesn't judge as much, it judges, but just not as much.
Yeah. So yeah, it'd be mine. Not a specific moment, but an opportunity that it created.
Yeah, I like it.
How about yours?
I think that my favorite moment of 2022 has been doing this podcast with you, probably. I have a lot of things in my life that I like to do. I love growing cannabis, and I love hanging out with specific friends and stuff like that. But this podcast is, like you said, giving me an outlet, a constructive outlet for some of the shit talking and some of the ideas and thoughts and the comedic...
Researching new things, too.
Comedic things that, we talk about. I feel like we are funny people, man. We just need more positive outlets for what we're trying to say instead of just talking shit. Because anybody can talk shit, but you need to be able at a point to do something with that, or it's like shit or get off the pot. What are you just sitting there just talking
but
shit?
We're both, I definitely, I guess, men that do blue collar jobs and have rough edges. So the way definitely we would talk is definitely, and the things we have to talk about and our sense of humor is a lot different than a bunch of people that have a podcast that are like doctors and telling jokes or something like that.
Lawyers. People that are trying to be politically correct,
yeah,
trying to bend constantly to other people's needs and wants. It's kind of nice to have people that are a little steadfast and say, I see where you're going with it, but we're going to just keep doing our thing. And what we know to do is work hard, be polite to people, try to just keep moving along. Yeah. And the world needs that, man. The world needs people like us to keep working and doing things like this podcast, because there's people out there like us that may not have anything like this, and
may not know how to do it like was us just a year ago.
And maybe one day listening to this podcast, somebody else might get the idea, hey, I listen to these guys, they're pretty funny. I wonder if I could do that.
Yeah.
And that'd be a cool thing to turn around one day if this podcast ever does get big, or we ever, do anything with it, to have somebody else say, hey, I listened to you guys when I was in a bad time in my life, and your jokes and your bullshit helped me get out of that.
Which would be awesome.
I think that's great.
Yeah. Because we both had music and comedy that helped us out. So
of course, man. Positive vibes all around. So let's start with your top. What
I want to start with honorable mentions, because that's usually in lists that's like the bottom ones that didn't quite make it. All right, you got honorable mentions?
Yeah, Drugs in the Graveyard.
That was actually the first one I was going to mention.
Hey!
That's literally the first one right there on the list.
Very awesome. So Drugs in the Graveyard, it was the first original
pilot episode. Episode 0.
Without me, it was Trevor and Io, and Trevor was giving the story of Drugs in the Graveyard.
Yeah, that was a crazy but true story about when I went off with a bunch of coworker friends, and we decided to try to do DMT in the graveyard in the wintertime. But it was the wintertime in Oregon. It was raining and cold, and all this shit was going. No, but we just didn't care. So we're slipping and sliding and doing shenanigans. And then I remember being told crazy stories about things that happened in that graveyard. This guy was very much just telling ghost story shit while we're there tripping balls.
Who are you gonna call?
Ghostbuster. Like talking about a guy cutting off girls' heads and putting them on the gravestone and being found the next day for Satan. Shit like that. As you're tripping and trying to help your buddy from slamming into a gravestone, and another guy's dry humping another gravestone.
You women better give me a fucking son, or else all of your heads are going on pikes outside.
All of them.
And it's like, well, it's not our fault you can't get your dick hard, and it's like, kill that bitch.
She's a witch. She's a witch. Burn her.
Yeah, I thought it was a great one because it was one I wasn't even here for, but it was one of the videos that started getting the most views.
It's
because
still like
at the beginning, Trevor was just letting everybody know, hey, the podcast is going, you got to check it out. And you know, we've dwindled off of that a little bit, but that's what we're working on here now. So we're going to get somebody to help us promote and produce.
We don't know exact person yet. We definitely have people that likely, but we don't know anything for sure.
I got this guy in mind. His name's Thomas the Asian Tank. He's gonna come in here like an Asian tank of sorts.
Probably, but we don't know for sure. So we don't want to say everything. So
if not, we'll find a human with bodies and minds and parts. Those things combined.
Wait, someone on the black market for body parts? That's pretty crazy.
I don't tell you where you get your clothes. Don't tell me where I get my organs.
Well, sometimes you give me clothes when you worked at the thrift store.
Hey, you know me. I be thrift shopping, baby.
I wear your granddad's clothes.
Yeah. But I think that was like one of the undercover silent winners of this year, just based on not only views, but it was a great start to our podcast.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't there.
That's how literally Taking a Bong Rip started, because I thought of Sweet Leaf from Black Sabbath.
We thought of that, or you thought of that, and we implied, and we.
But I did that. I did that the first one.
Episodes after.
But the first one we did that, and then I played guitar, and then we talked and talked. I told my story, and then I bullshit about funny stories from the old apartment, and then I played music throughout it.
Trevor loves episodes where I'm not here.
Ron Evangelo was great too, though. It's also
see, he's like, Chris isn't here, everything goes right. So, what's your next honorable mention?
Get Your Ricky On. It was with Dylan and Kendra, and the moment for me was actually during the episode and right after the episode when he took pictures of us, and he developed that into the background logo that you guys will see in the background of the show.
Work on getting that out there.
Yeah, but it's where they, I guess the term is where they fry the picture. Mm-hmm. They do something where they fry the picture, quote unquote.
Yeah, there was a guy that was telling us you can't use super glue on wounds last night.
Yeah, he was same guy. And Chris and I both had a super glue wounds. Like, sometimes it just happens. You're in a bad situation that
if you
do what you gotta do.
Option between bleeding openly and sealing off a wound with glue.
I'm sealing
that fucker
every
off.
time. Unless you 9
times out of 10.
Unless you actively pour terrible chemicals on that glue and like you look at the glue and you're like, yeah. Other than that, if it's
all I know is that the night I super glued my eyes shut, it didn't hurt that much.
That was a fun night. Yeah.
And the morning I woke up, the thing that hurt the most was my eyebrow where I got hit. It wasn't the scar.
Yeah, that was fun pinching your eyebrow shut.
Yeah, we figured it out, man. And thanks God for super glue.
Yeah, or my hand at the bus station bleeding everywhere. Yeah.
Because I can't afford to go to the hospital every time I get a fucking cut that needs stitches.
I can't either.
So, another one I loved, another honorable mention, I loved Red Wings. What?
That's also on my list.
Red Wings was probably the most memorable moment of the year.
For
about
you?
Trevor eating pussy from a hooker and
a black hooker that
on her
period, but she liked me. So.
I thought that was hilarious, and I don't think that story probably will be topped this year. That's probably going to go down.
And it's
as
a true story, which is
yeah. Trevor was sitting there probably drinking blood out of this woman's snatch.
It was pretty bloody.
And using a cauldron to collect all the excess blood because he was going to use it later for a virgin sacrifice.
For Satan, yes.
Yeah.
Shh, don't give away my secrets. You said, hey, I won't talk about your body parts if I don't talk about my satanic rituals. But anyways.
Yeah, I think that was a great episode. Probably going to go down as one of the best ones of the year.
And then we also talked about weed a whole bunch afterwards. So that's why we called it Red Wings and Wafers. But yeah, and then another one I have, our last episode actually, is the Jingle in the Jungle, our Christmas special.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Episode 66 with Silver Squirrel Chris Kennett. And for me, the highlight is when Silver Squirrel was bugging me about airplanes and then about Mike Tyson. He's like, yeah, I bet you saw Mike Tyson, Trevor. You would do something. And then you jumped in. You're like, yeah, he wouldn't just punch Mike Tyson's face. Hey, Mike Tyson, Trevor Ahlstrom's out there, wants to fight. And then I was like, well, what would you do if you had a conversation, Mike? Like, well, I'd probably impersonate Mike Tyson. And you just went like, hey, Trevor, don't do that. I'm the heavyweight champion of the world. And you just did this funny ass impersonation. I listened to it today. And that was for me pretty goddamn funny.
That's the biggest problem is that I had, like, the bully in me. I don't have a lot of bully in me, but the bully part of me hears lisps, and I immediately just want to make fun of them.
Even if they are some of the baddest men on the planet,
even if you are the heavyweight champion of the world
and a bad
and
motherfucker,
you have a funny lisp, I'll probably behind your back still make fun of it. But yeah, no, I love doing the Mike Tyson voice. It is pretty funny because he is such a badass dude to have such a lisp.
It's weird.
It's
the irony is
crazy
hilarious.
Part. Yeah, isn't it ironic? So I think we should start getting into some of our episodes here. What's the last one?
Last honorable mention is A Few Friends, episode 9. It's with Chris Kennett and Austin Tribble, and that's where Austin took the gigantic bong rip, and you had to help him out, and then he spewed bong water all over my notes as I was playing guitar and distracted me.
Well, he coughed into the bong, and the force of the air pushed the water out of the bong.
All on my notes.
So that's what the problem was.
Yeah.
We need to start instructing people on how to do bong rips before they come on the show.
Because Chris and I are...
Because they say all the time, we know how to take bong rips. Everybody knows how to take a bong rip.
Yeah.
But sometimes different bongs are different. You know, you might need a tutorial real quick.
That's like when someone's like, yeah, I can use this tool, and then...
They blow it up.
Yeah.
They break it, and they're like...
It's like...
You come back, you're like, what happened? They're like, well, you know, I've used these tools before, but this one was acting weird.
And folks, you can't fool us. Chris and I are both very, very well experienced with bongs. We use them. We've been using them for years. Like we know if you know how to use a bong or not.
We'll see within the first few seconds
if
you make a mistake. Anywho, but I think we have a lot of great episodes from this past year. We're up to episode 67 now, and we're going to go into just a couple of our favorite episodes. We wrote down kind of some of our favorite moments.
I wrote down the top
some
10.
Of them.
But
for Trevor, yeah, well, you can go ahead. I just wanted to do a review on the moments I thought were the best in these episodes.
That's fine.
Sure.
Okay.
So Trevor's got his top 10.
So number 10, I have episode 30, The Goat. And this is where Angelo DeSuze, your buddy and my new buddy, called in. And it was where we paid tribute to Dave Chappelle, and we just did Dave Chappelle quotes the entire episode. I like that.
Dave Chappelle's always funny. I just feel like he's a drum that gets beat a lot.
But it was, for me, it was the first time that I had gotten to have like a really funny long conversation with Angelo. So for Angelo and I, it was definitely like, it was a friendship building moment. So that was cool. We had a moment. We had a moment of telling jokes about someone that we both grew up like.
He grabbed me by the hand and he put my hand on his penis and he said, "Hey, you want to grab this?"
No, that did not happen. I can't reach through the phone and grab people's dicks in Seattle.
Through the glass. Oh no, much time has passed. Don't put your hand on my ass.
This pole sensation lasts forever. Anyways, so yeah, I was just
sulfur in my head.
So anyways, I always like doing Dave Chappelle jokes. So Evangelo's fine. Number 9.
Dave Chappelle, but he gets beat too much as a drum.
Next one, Dead Cats. So episode 48, and this is with special guest good buddy Aaron Corrales from when I did Backcountry Trails. And for me, it was funny because Chris had only talked to Aaron once before when we had another guy, Jonah, another friend on the show, and it was funny because Aaron kept mentioning dead cats in the driveway like over and over, and Chris just gave me a crazy look like, I thought this guy was cool. I'm like, hey, I'll be fine. And then by the end of the episode, we're making dead cat jokes. And now whenever he calls, I just grill him about dead cats.
Okay.
So it gave me a great inside joke. So yeah, dead cats. Number 8, I have Still Waters Run Deep, episode 51.
Sure.
The moment.
Let me go to that, and I'll come up with some of the moments.
Is that one you got too?
Yeah, remember all the episodes we listened to the last couple days?
Yeah, I wrote them all down.
Yeah, I got the ones I got the highlights from the moments.
I did that, but I did other ones too. That's fine. The moment I have is hamster power, because that was a funny moment.
Hamster power.
We're joking about powering everything.
Yep.
On hamsters.
Yep.
Anything you want to add to that one?
So, Still Waters Run Deep. I loved the episode. We had a bunch of weird, just random ass jokes. It was the episode that I talked about going to breakfast with Chris. Trevor Needs a Car is a constant one that we tap down on in this podcast. So, Trevor, if you just get a car, maybe we'll get off that subject.
What else you got?
Constant E40 quotes. That has been a running theme through our show.
We both love E40.
All year.
We both love E40.
So maybe next year we'll go for Snoop Dogg quotes or something.
Maybe we'll go for Old Dirty Bastard quotes. We'll change it up.
Yeah, and we also talked about the guy that was outside bleeding that got cut.
Oh
by the
yeah,
homeless
right
guy.
outside her apartment.
Yeah,
That
and
was
I wrote
funny.
down, I'm bleeding. Treat me. Fuck you.
And he's literally half a block away from the ER.
Not even a half a block, like 30 steps, man.
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
he's right past the Dairy Queen. The Dairy Queen is the only
100
building.
feet. He was like 100 feet from the front door.
This guy just sucked. So
For
those were
3
some of
hours.
the best moments. I think we had the racist guy at IHOP was
Yeah,
another
the racist
one.
IHOP story. That was a funny moment.
Chris is always saying everybody sucks. That's my catchphrase, my personal catchphrase.
And then you meant, and then I mentioned, and then you. I think you mentioned first Stillwater's Run Deep, and I talked about there was a prison in Minnesota that I had like a great grandfather that helped build it, and then he ended up having to do time there after he helped build the thing.
Yeah, that was great.
And yeah.
We have a lot of really funny little tidbits in the episodes. That's kind of why I wanted to do the moments too. All right, so let's go on to the next one. What's the next one you got?
7 is the Halloween special, getting the most from the ghosts.
Ghost with the most.
And obviously, the moment, I mean, for me, probably the top moment actually is when Chris kept talking, doing the thing where, I mean, I fudged my facts a little bit. Chris just doesn't care. He'll just go for it. He's like, Romans, Greeks, one of those people back then.
Hey, you know those old folks that lived once upon a yesterday?
And yeah, so he was asking about the Goths, and he kept asking enough random questions that I had to, in a very brief period, give like 1,000 years of history from like the wars from Greece and Rome, the Peloponnesian Wars, all the way to the fall of Western Rome when the Goths, the Visigoths, and the Vandals swooped in.
I definitely wrote
And then
down
the Huns.
questionable questions.
Yeah, so that's part of that.
Facts.
That was part of that. It was just me doing a stone drunk history lesson.
Of
like, all right,
course.
Professor
That's
T,
how we roll.
History Professor T. Nassie's in the
takes off
building.
his Gay Vermont sweater and he puts on his Gay Vermont professor jacket with the patches over the elbows, and he goes, "All right, folks, sit down and grab your
The tweed
Yeah.
with the fucking patch, the
Go
leather
ahead.
patch.
Go ahead
Yeah.
and grab your cups of hot cider. We're about to sit down and get some learning.
I'm
done."
also gonna put like an ascot and throw it over like
Of course,
Fred,
and
like
you have
Fred.
to have a convertible,
Yes.
a top convertible, and you
Like
have
a
to have
douchebag.
a weird underage relationship with a student of yours. You know,
Should be 18 or 19.
yeah,
That'd
exactly.
be Greta
Her name's
Thunberg.
Greta.
Yeah, that's a joke right there. She's an environmental studies student.
Yeah, she's all about those jazz cigarettes, if you know what I mean. That was another one from this
Yeah,
episode.
we talked about jazz
cigarettes. That was a great moment. Jazz cigarettes is a term used to refer to cannabis joints.
And it was called jazz cigarettes because at the time,
African Americans played jazz.
yeah, I mean, it started out as music that when a lot of black soldiers in World War I went over to France, they heard a lot of these sounds. They came back and mixed them with blues, and jazz initially meant jackass music because it was a racial term for that music.
Ooh, did you guys hear Trevor say that? I'm not going to tell any black folks.
But it was shortened to jazz, and that's where the term came from.
So let's talk about modern American gym. No,
I did not put that on the list.
all right, so I got another one from this episode. Getting the most from a ghost. We have again constant high sidetracking. That is another constant theme we have. We get stoned on this show, folks, and I don't think that's a problem at all. But we have a problem sometimes of staying on topic. Maybe in 2023 that is something we can work on, and our producer can possibly help with.
Yes.
Because having a person that isn't stoned, possibly curb two stoned people, that might help out. That might help out.
Anyway, so the next one, move on. I'm
One more thing for that one. Bottle Kids of Britain.
yes.
The Bottle Kids of
Because we
Britain.
were talking about the history of Halloween and how a lot of kids for Halloween around that time when Guy Fawkes was executed, they would go around and wear the Guy Fawkes mask and they would demand treats or something, or they would
Hey, miss.
or they would threaten to do terrible things to their home. And eventually that's where Trick or Treat came from. It had much more rough origins, but it eventually got pretty much Disneyfied down to asking for candy and having spooky electronic pumpkins go ooh, whatever. Or like those goofy hand. I love the bowl with the hand, electronic hand that grabs you when you grab the candy. That would be fun to have. Just to have that here. Try to grab an orange. I would love to have that. So if anyone has a bowl from those robotic hands, please
to grab
bring that
your
to
hands.
us. I will put oranges in that motherfucker. It'll be great. It'll be our fruit bowl. It'll be our fruit bowl. Just like, trying to grab a banana. You know that's a good idea. So yeah, spooky bowl for fruit. Come on,
I always
folks.
love the bottle kids because it's like, oh, miss, give us a treat or two, or else we'll bust your windows.
We'll take everything, miss.
And it's like,
Everything.
you got you a nice clothing rack outside. I see them loins. I'll take them. You won't be able to hang nothing.
And now I need you to bend over. You fancy a shag, miss?
I didn't know these kids were rapists.
Anyways, next one. Latino Gazebo, episode
Yes.
7. I'm sure it's on your list.
I'm sure we did it.
Yeah, we did talk about it. Yeah, we talked about it together. But it was definitely one of our first, like, really funny ones. And the highlight for me is we talked about when we were camping, being homeless during that summer, and we talked about the park where there was the thing floating down the river when you and I were drunk at the McKenzie River.
The ashes of a person.
But I didn't realize that. I thought they had dropped like a boat or something.
Human ashes.
I thought they had let go of a toy or something. So I offered drunkenly, like, "Hey, do you want that back?" And they said, "No."
Please leave it alone.
So then we staggered up to the rocks to the other part of the park.
I love how you took offense to it.
I was
Because
like-
you were drunk?
I was trying to be nice.
No, I know. But you took offense to it when
I
they
did.
told you not to stop.
Yeah.
Like, we were in the water, and I was like, you okay? And he's like, could have smashed that boat. And I was like, why would you do that? And then I explained what was happening because I saw kind of what was happening.
I didn't.
Yeah, exactly, because he had his back turned, and I was like, Trevor, it's probably somebody's ashes. It looks like there's a funeral over there. And he goes, oh. He realized he was being the asshole. He was like, man, I could have smashed that boat. Like, what's wrong with you?
Then I have someone's uncle all over my arm. What happened to Frank? But then we went up and realized we saw the 2 gazebos, and you had gazebo of all the sad white people memorial service, and then the 50 feet away you had the giant Mexican quinceañera going on with all the happy music and all the partying right next to each other. So the irony of sadness,
Life and death. Life and death.
Yeah, it was a funny irony moment.
I loved the moment that we stopped and we were like, how funny of a word is gazebo?
Yeah.
And then we just started
Latino gazebo.
We started coming up with funny words
that
about
rhyme with
gazebo. We also had a bunch of other funny jokes that we've said 100 times over, but
the music was good too. We did La Bamba. That was one of my favorite intros.
Trevor axe slaying jokes. We had a bunch of jokes about Trevor slaying with axes. That was a good one because we were camping.
Yes.
Putin's pooting us through a lot. I think that was the first time that one made an appearance. Yeah. Chicken and a Biscuit. This is a white trash podcast.
Yes.
That was an amazing one.
Chicken and a Biscuit, seriously. Hook us up.
Buenos Vista Social Club. That was
by Ibrahim Ferrer, the old Afro-Cuban guy.
That was my favorite moment from that entire episode.
The music. I remember you were dancing.
Dude, I want to listen to that whole album. Latino Gazebo is
Do you want me to send you the link?
We'll figure that out. Yeah. And the last one I want to mention is the reality show. We talked about a reality show like Survivor, where after they believed the reality show was finished, like the 30 days or whatever it is you're supposed to survive, they go back to the tent where the production crew is supposed to be, and everybody's gone.
Yep.
They've taken all their shit.
Just got real.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody is either dead or gone, and you are out there alone again. And you have...
But for real this time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But what they don't know is that the production crew has just moved over to the other side.
They have
of the
another
island.
camp.
Exactly.
They're just a couple miles away.
Yeah, and they're double duping them. You know, so I think that would make a crazy reality show. Super Survivor.
I feel like there'd be some legal problems with that.
Yeah, but we'll get some good lawyers. I was gonna say good Jew lawyers. That shows where my head goes. I'm going to Rothschild, Rothstein, and Rothsburg. I'm not going to Panther, and Panther, and San Pedro.
That reminds me of the joke about the joke I have not told on the show. I've heard Aaron tell me before. He's telling a joke about a old Japanese and old Jewish man. They're drinking together at a bar and they're becoming friends, and they're getting along. And the Jewish guy immediately just throws some vodka in the Japanese guy and then hits him. He's like, fuck you, you fucking Jap. And then the Japanese guy's like, what was that for? And he said, that was for Pearl Harbor. And he's like, no, okay. And then they keep drinking. And then like another 10 minutes go by, keep drinking, they're getting more drunk. You know, old guys getting drunk, so it gets drunk pretty quick. And this Japanese guy immediately throws a thing of liquor in the old Jewish guy's face, and it hits him in the arm, and the Jewish guy says, what's that for? And the Japanese guy says, that was for Titanic. He's like, what? Titanic? That was an iceberg. He's like, iceberg, Goldberg, Steinberg, it's all the same Jewish stuff.
There's I think the reason why I think of Jewish people as good lawyers is the area, again, where I grew up, big
Florida.
Jewish population.
Some good
and
lawyers,
some
I
of
bet.
the best lawyers
I'm sure.
in that area are Goldberg,
Hey,
Feinstein.
what about the big tit Jew lawyer from CSI, your
from
dream
Law
girl,
and
Law and Order, your dream girl?
Well, she's not a big tit Jew, but she's a beautiful Jewish girl.
Okay.
I have a thing for Jewish women, folks.
I do too.
I don't know what it is. Jewish girls are
God.
just cute. They are very cute, and they usually come with a big bust, you know?
Usually.
But, yeah, no, that was such a... See, now I'm getting stoned. What were we just talking about?
We're finishing up the last episode, the Tino Gazebo. But anyway, I want to move on to Ghost Train.
Ghost Train,
So
Ghost Train,
we're getting-
Ghost
wanna
Train.
wrap this up soon. So
It's
Ghost
okay.
Train was episode 39.
We can make this one a little long.
That was one we talked about. I can look for it too.
Well, I feel like if we go over our notes as we're doing the top 10, it'll help us to remember some stuff.
Yeah, but Ghost Train.
Ghost Train,
Did
number
you-
39. Ghost Train, Ghost
you
Train,
find it?
Ghost Train. Yeah, Salty Boy Pizza episode.
Yeah, so you found it.
I was talking about how I think one of my favorite moments from that whole thing, I'll leave the Epstein Island one to you, but one of my favorite
Yes.
moments was bus talk. Fucking kids. Is that bus talk? Is pedophilia and your sexual proclivities, is that bus talk? Is that common bus talk?
You asking me?
Well, I'm just saying that was the theme that we brought up. We talked about, is it appropriate to talk about pedophilia on buses and stuff?
Well, I've heard it's really awkward when you hear like I remember one time this teenage girl was screaming about how she loves to be fucked raw in the shower.
That's what I mean, what's proper bus
And
talk?
and
Proper
me
bus
me as
etiquette.
an adult, it was really awkward for me to say anything. She's like, "Yeah, I like to fuck when I'm drunk. Love to get plowed in the shower." And it's really weird when a cute 16-year-old girl says it, but you can't do anything. You're like, God damn it, she's underage. So you just try. I try to read my book as fucking hard as I can. She see me read my book and starts laughing, and then
he's uncomfortable.
and then her stupid high school friends start laughing. And then I remember another one of these kids one time started talking shit for me reading a book. He's like, "Oh, you read a book? That's so lame." I put my book down. For those who don't know, I'm a big man. And when I get angry or a little pissed, people usually get intimidated. So I put my book down and I fucking leaned forward and looked to him and he just...
Trevor's always trying to be the tough guy.
No, it's just fuck, leave me alone and reading my
The
goddamn
world
book.
is always a vampire. Na 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 na.
Fuck these people. But
That's a
anyways,
drain.
so my favorite moment of that, we did have a lot of funny moments.
Queen
Now-
of England died.
That was a different one. God Save the Queen. That
Oh,
was right
the
around
one right after.
Right after. That was also a funny one. We talked about the Queen dying and made all that the British jokes. I did the Sex Pistols album review.
Yep.
That was a good one. But this one, my favorite moment was the Ed song. It was one of my favorite ending songs. It was
Okay.
where I did like the fast blues
Yeah.
riff, and then you started riffing on that and like Ghost Train, Ghost Train, and then you started doing harmonica and singing along about the
Yep.
Ghost Train, about this train that goes around and murders people.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty funny.
We had a great joke about a child prodigy locked in a closet
Yes.
that was fed nothing but peanut
Peanut
butter,
butter
chunky
and-
peanut butter,
Extra chunk.
extra chunk,
Extra chunk, as I said,
extra chunky.
and crayons.
and crayons. He only got orange,
Orange and green.
And green, yeah. He was all about the U. This
Yeah.
kid
So he's gonna make like the most beautiful paintings. Like
of the University
Yes.
of Miami.
yes, this peanut. It's gonna be this giant dolphin that's 10 feet, but just made out of crayons and peanut butter.
Yeah, I love the hard luck story of a child prodigy.
He's locked in the
artist.
closet just like Harry Potter.
How did you become
Harry
such
Potter.
a great artist?
I had
And he's
no
like,
choice.
Well, I had a Harry Potter upbringing.
Yeah.
You know, they locked me in a closet underneath the staircase.
And they
I
fed
was
me dog
I
food.
was fed scraps off the table. The dog ate better than I did. They only gave me chunky peanut butter and crayons.
The dog sometimes would pee under the door, and then they would go under the door, and then I would sleep in it. Yeah, things like that. So one after that I want to mention, the next one is Better Dead Than Red, and that's with
Episode
Sage.
number 20.
Yeah, that's the 4th of July special, and that was with Sage, and Sage fucking crushed on that one. He was really funny at talking about, helping us talk about like the funny history of America, like the name of the map after the very sketchy Italian map maker whose name was shortened to America, and he had never been there. And we just talked a lot of funny history and about people being ridiculous with their political views.
One of the top moments I had on here was Trevor hasn't seen Step Brothers, which now is not true. He has now seen Step Brothers, so that one is no longer applicable.
Yeah,
But
he was in shock.
we also talked about the word rapist, like Snoop
Yeah.
Dogg and Ice Cube. They're rapists, you know, they're artists that rap. They're rapists,
Raffis.
and it's funny to say.
My-
Homeless tramps. The homeless camp that Trevor's boss recommended. 1430 East
13th Avenue.
13th Avenue.
Yeah, because he had a couple rental homes and gave me the wrong address, and then we ended up there.
We ended up searching around a homeless camp for a property that didn't exist.
Yeah, it was a church that was hosting this homeless camp, and we looked around, immediately got flashed by an old lady for old saggy tits, and then had this old drunk man ask, being way too friendly, and then we looked around and freakily thought we were stealing, casing her joint, her place, but we weren't.
So that was another one that I had.
Yeah, it was funny.
I wrote
So that was
down,
a funny true story.
We'll be back, bitch.
Yeah, and she just looked terrified. I was like, Chris, let's get out of here. And I just started to fast walk out of here.
Well, I loved that she assumed because we were searching for an apartment around
We
here.
were looking to rob
and
it.
we looked a little suspect.
Big dirty dudes.
That we were gonna
Up to
fucking
no
rob
good.
this old lady.
Yeah.
And when she said that to me, I was taken back, but immediately I was like, I'm gonna use this. So I go, yeah, we're coming back around 6 tonight. I think you should be here. You know, what apartment do you live in? And she was like, what? And she walked away, and then I was like, all right, now it's time to
She
go.
might be calling the cops right now.
Yeah, now it's time.
And as we're leaving, the old man that slammed that hurricane, that 40 of hurricane, he's like,
This
"You
is
boys
the story
fine?"
of the hurricane.
But he screamed as we're leaving and like, "Let's get the fuck out of here." He's like, "You boys find what you're looking for?" And I said, "No." And then we left.
Yeah, this was a great episode. We also talked about how Saw gets real, how Jigsaw is the owner
Also,
of an
White Girl
escape
Trap.
room. Yeah.
White girl trap.
Yeah, it started out
Starbucks.
with the Starbucks theme, and then
Trap
we were
hot
like,
white
what if,
girls.
Jigsaw ran the Starbucks, and then what if Jigsaw had an escape room instead of the Starbucks?
You have 5 minutes to figure it out, or I'm cutting off your hand. You can no longer play mascara to your pretty face. So shit like that. So that was a good one. Definitely the highlight of that one was just, I don't know. A few things on that one. But yeah, I guess top moment would just be the probably the White Girl Trap.
White Girl Trap,
White Girl
Starbucks
Trap.
/ escape
Yeah.
room. Yeah.
That was funny for me. All right, so the third one, Malice at the Palace,
Yep.
episode 29,
29.
with Jeff and Sona, and she was quiet, but she was super cool. But Jeff definitely liked to join forces with Chris and tease me, of course.
Well, Trevor likes to let us join forces and
No.
tease him. He doesn't act more appropriate. He just allows us to talk shit, and then he gets upset when we cut him off.
Lies and deceit.
You
Anyways.
got a booger on your lip.
I know, my nose is running, folks. Like, it's running for, like, Trump running for office again. It's just running for no reason. There's a joke.
One of my favorite moments from that one is obviously the Malice
story.
and the Palace.
The story.
fight.
The true story.
It's such a crazy moment that happened in the NBA, but I get why
It's
it happened on
infamous.
both sides.
Yeah.
People were being ridiculous. The game was pretty much over, and they were just being mean to the visiting team. The visiting team decided not to take it anymore.
Fuck you guys.
And a bunch of them just got into a fight. The problem was is one of the dudes that pretty much started it who was the main instigator, went on to win a championship like the next year with the Lakers.
He used to play with the Sacramento Kings. It was Cousins.
I don't know.
Okay.
But the other two gentlemen that were in contention in the playoffs, they never got to get to the championship because of that whole ordeal. There was a couple of them that were great basketball players.
They got in trouble.
Because of that one incident, they got banned. They got, people didn't want them on their teams after that.
So that event had long-term effects for people.
For people's careers, yeah.
In their lives, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the highlight for that.
Trevor hates Nickelback. That's another highlight I love to talk about.
Fuck them. Moving on to...
Sperm is rocket fuel.
Yes. What one that Chris is going to groan, but I still love, fuck you, the pirate episode. Arg.
Arg.
Saying Arg one too many times. We talked pirate history and
We
said Arg
so much.
And that was the most pirate talk I've done in my life, and probably anyone else too. Like for an hour, we went off and on having pirate talks in the pirate. Arg, matey! That's what I said.
Trevor loves that episode so much. I think I just put up with it, but it's not my favorite. It's a good episode.
You still laughed a lot, though.
Yeah, because I had to be there, but other than that. All right, what's your number one?
Number one for me is Higher Than Eagle's Pussy. That's
we didn't watch, or we didn't do that one together.
That's right.
You did that one afterwards?
I looked it up again. It was hilarious. But
okay.
It's where Michael and I drink. We had already done some dabs. We had drank alcohol. We had done
too high.
We had already done some dab hits, and then we ended up drinking this THC soda, and so it's 150 milligrams. It's pretty strong, but I was like, we'll be fine. He's like, we'll be fine. This is bright blue drink, and we drank it. Oh my God! That got me so high. We were stumbling in. I had to cook this meal. And I somehow didn't burn myself or didn't ruin the meal. I actually pulled it off. But we were incredibly high. I was forgetting how to play guitar at the beginning, and I was just uncomfortably high. And then we were just laughing. And Chris was annoyed because he realized he had to take control of the shit train, but he did a good job. And a funny moment for me would be we're right by the hospital. All these sirens are going by. And Michael tried to outshout all these sirens.
Yeah,
we're like, Michael, don't try it. And he was just belting.
Well, I think he originally thought that the siren was going to go down another street or turn
went
someplace.
Right by.
Went right beside our apartment, loud as hell. And it was just funny because for a moment there, he did think he was going to out-talk it.
Like, no.
And then
it didn't work.
Slowly but surely realized, as we were telling him, we're like, Michael, shh.
Because it was multiple. And we would get in trouble, too. This guy screaming in your apartment. And then the other thing after that is while that was going on, I was so high that by the end of the episode, my shirt was gone and, like, my socks were gone. And, like, I was half undressed by the end of the episode. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, Trevor got overheated because his heart was pounding from the THC.
Yeah.
And so he decided to take his clothes off pretty much, except for his pants.
I was stripping
it's his
for the
house.
show.
He can dress how he wants, but still just an awkward choice, I believe.
During a podcast, yeah.
But that's pretty much our best moments from the year, folks. We're running a little late here today, but I don't think it's a problem too much. But I think that we appreciate all the folks that are listening, all the subscribers, anybody that's heard us just yet. I know this is an up-and-coming podcast, but we're going to continue to work on it, making it better, and trying to get to the next level pretty much. We're gonna keep on moving forward. Progression, yeah?
Do you want to play harmonica? Or?
No, you're good, bro. Go ahead and sling up your axe.
I guess for announcements, we'll have more episodes coming up. Another guy to help us, or gal. And I'm playing open mic tomorrow at the First House Tap House with a friend. This will be a duo, so that should be good.
Yep.
Yeah. Here we go.
Happy 2023, y'all.
Yeah, happy 2023, everybody.
folks. We'll get at you next time. I hope you have a good year.